All right. I thought I would do one of these tier lists that are very popular. And I'm going to do one for the MCU. I'll start there, and I'm going to do other ones too, because these are fun. These are actually super fun. So I'm a DC guy by nature, but then the MCU came along and went, just amazing. I'm going to list these, and like I said, this is everybody says it's just opinion, man. Like it's just certain movies caught me, certain ones didn't. Oop, camera's flying all over the place. There we go. So let's just fucking get to it, right? Let's start with the original Iron Man. Maybe I'll do them in the order they came out. This one is definitely, well, if this is S, A, B, C, D, it's definitely an A. Because it's kicked off the whole franchise, and every film after is compared to Iron Man. Iron Man is pretty structurally perfect. It's a fantastic fucking movie. I don't know what else needs to be said about it. It's just rad. It's just there's no other way to do it. And when I watch one of these movies, if actually this is what I've learned, if you watch a movie in general, some movies take more than one watch to get. So I mean, and I'll rewatch a movie to make sure, because sometimes you watch a movie and go, maybe I was just in the wrong mood, or it just went over my head or something. So I tend to watch them. I've seen every single MCU movie no less than 3 times, and as many as probably 20 or 30 with my favorite one. All right, so that's Iron Man. Is that Iron Man 2? Yes, it is. Iron Man 2 would probably go down here. There's just a lot of things that didn't come together. Because Whiplash is a good villain. Justin Hammer's a good villain. But Justin Hammer was played for laughs and wasn't really that much of a threat. And it's the same thing with Whiplash. He didn't really... He's a physical threat in a certain situation, but like he just didn't have the fucking the skills to really catch up to Tony. And what I would have rather seen is if Hammer and Whiplash worked together better. And through both of them working together, they actually came up with a good threat. Because I never really felt like Tony was in any real trouble in this movie. And if you don't have a strong villain to pit your hero against, then it takes the movie down. It definitely does. Not like it's not enjoyable. I mean, certain things in this movie are really cool, but it just didn't gel like the first one. Like every scene in the first Iron Man just really felt like it belonged. Like it just all worked. This one, there were some scenes that were really good, but like there's a lot of in-between stuff that just fell flat for me. So let me think. In the MCU, what's next? After that one, it's Thor, right? Now, the original Thor gets not a lot of love, and I would consider this movie to be at least a solid B. Other than the Dutch angles, which I don't understand Dutch angles. Like, it's hot for a minute. But yeah, Dutch angles are weird. But the actual movie itself is really good. There's some funny stuff in here. There's some good action. I like the whole Norse mythology thing opening up. It was pretty fucking cool. I'm gonna readjust these as I go. Of course, it didn't have the strength of the script so some of these other movies. But I mean, it had Loki, who becomes a fan favorite. I mean, Thor's basically Shakespearean up until the third one. So, I liked it. I'll actually go back and watch it once in a while. It's a decent movie. I mean, a solid B is still a really good rating. And after Thor, I believe it was the original Captain America, which to me, I don't think gets enough love. It's not as good as Iron Man, but I would put it up in its tier because Captain America, the original, I didn't like it the first time I watched it. And then after I watched it a few times, I realized this movie's really fucking good. You got Hugo Weaving as a villain. This man was born to play villains. He is fucking good. And it really disappoints me that he'll do a thing once and just be done with it. This movie has a lot of heart. The computer effects to this day, as of 2022, still look fan-fucking-tastic. They really do. I greatly enjoy that. Bucky's introduced. I mean, the computer effects overall are really good. It's a really good hero story. You see where Cap comes from, and then when he gets all this strength, it really doesn't go to his head. He just wants to do the right thing. He's completely incorruptible, which I really liked. All right, so I remember when the original Avengers came out, not Age of Ultron, where are we here? So I don't know why this thing is not sizing properly. There's the original Avengers. I would have put this as that. But you realize this movie we were all just really excited for more Tony. And you got more Tony, you got more everything. A lot of the writing is pretty good. It's got more Loki. You know what? Maybe I will leave it as a B. I'm going to put it further down, though, because this movie doesn't hold up as well for me because this is before there was a super consistent tone in the MCU. This is before they had the formula figured out. You can't blame them because it's very early on. Really good movie, but I just felt like the Chitauri were just not a good enough villain. Loki plus the Chitauri. I mean, everyone loves Loki, but I just felt like Loki and the Chitauri especially just didn't get enough time to shine. Like they really, like I said, it's the same thing with Age of Ultron. It's the same problem that the horde of robots just get manhandled. I mean, against Thor, against the Hulk, you know, even Iron Man, yes, they can handle the Chitauri. And what they should have had is the other three pretty regular heroes having to work together to do the same work as one Thor or one. But it is a very funny movie. It's quippy. It's what we wanted at the time. I'm going to put it further down the list. It's definitely not. It could be the highest in the B tier, but we'll probably put it as the lowest of the A tier. So after Avengers, and now I haven't seen some of these movies in a while, so I may get the order wrong. I believe Iron Man 3 was next. Iron Man 3 is a movie I wasn't hot on when I first saw it, and I've grown to like it a little more. I would probably put it as the the highest C. It's a Shane Black movie. Shane Black is a great writer. I've loved a lot of Shane Black's movies, but I do like seeing the more human side of Tony. But I don't know. The movie just felt weird. It felt like it didn't even have to be a Marvel movie. It could have been a movie about just some genius. It doesn't. I don't find it fits in tonally like the rest of the movies. But I do love all the Iron Man movies because they do further Tony's character development, and watching his suits progress throughout all these movies is actually phenomenal. Because one problem he had in the first Iron Man, he needed a room with mechanical arms to put the suit on. In the second one, you see he has a suitcase suit, which has limited functionality, but gets the job done. So now he can put it on, wherever he needs. And then in Avengers, he can be walking down a catwalk and take it off. It's much faster. And then in this one, they do the Extremis storyline, but not as well, of course. But now he can just pull it on a piece if he needs it. So it's way more efficient. I did like that. I mean, when I put a movie in a certain place, I'm not saying it's a terrible movie. It just didn't grab me. Maybe pacing issues. Maybe the villain wasn't strong enough. And they say that the MCU has weak villains. I don't think that's true at all. There are some, but for the most part, I think the villains are really good. Killian was a good villain. It's a good movie, but it's not one I would sit down and just watch regularly. Even though, like I said, all these movies have some cool shit in it, but I don't find this one jive for me. All right. It wasn't Age of Ultron. I think it was Guardians. Guardians or Cap 2? We'll do Cap 2. This is a straight up S, no fucking around. This is most people's favorite MCU movie because it does a lot of things right. When I first saw it, I thought it was cool, but I'm so used to the Avengers that I couldn't lower my standards down to like a more personal story. But I watched it a few more times, and it gets phenomenal. Watching him and Bucky beat the living fuck out of each other. Like, nowadays Bucky is completely different, but I loved the villainous version of Bucky. He was a fucking badass. And I had that really cool scene with Nick Fury finally getting to do something where he's driving that automated car. Like, that was fucking dope. There was so many great things in this movie. It's a spy thriller, and they also did a really smart thing with Cap because the writers wrote it like Cap is used to the Stars and Stripes. We're the good guys, they're the bad guys. Now he comes to today, and everything is way out of whack. Like, the good guys and bad guys are indistinguishable, and that actually happens in one scene. I really like this movie. It's fucking great. It might be lower on my S tier than some other movies, but definitely great. Let's see. What do we got next? I know it goes Guardians of the Galaxy. That's a straight S. Just no fucking questions asked. Myself included. I thought, okay, I've heard of the Guardians. And then I Googled them, like, there's a tree and a raccoon. This is going to be fucking stupid. Even Kevin Smith himself, who loves the MCU more than almost anybody, said the same thing. This is going to be fucking stupid. And watched it in the theater, completely blown away. Like, literally perfect casting. The story was funny. Every scene is pertinent. Everyone gets enough screen time. Ronan, I hate it. Everyone shits on Ronan. Ronan was a fantastic villain. I wanted more of him. He was fucking good. Like, you'll ask somebody, who was the villain in Guardians, and they just sit there and think for a second. They just don't know his name is Ronan. And he wasn't that memorable the first time, but after you watch him, he's fucking legit. Well, I mean, what's his name? I can't remember his name right off the top of my head. Lee Pace. Really fucking good. You want a good British villain, because the Brits tend to just do everything better. Let's see. Next is probably going to be... Thor 2. Oh, Thor 2. Sorry. The only reason I watched Thor 2... I'm happy we have it because it's more Loki. But the villain just didn't have enough bite to be able to, to give Thor and Loki a run for their money. It furthers the story. I've seen it. I don't hate it. I'm just saying, as far as does it jive with the rest of the MCU and all that, it doesn't. It's not like it doesn't have good parts to it. The action is okay and all that, but it just, and this is pretty much everyone's least favorite. And Thor, he was getting bored of the role because he's so dry as a character. But then when Ragnarok comes around, that's when things fucking get crazy. I forgot the Incredible Hulk. That was either right before or I think it's right before Iron Man. We're going to put it down here because the movie came out as a mess. Because as far as I understood, Norton decided he wanted to edit the script all the time. So the movie didn't turn out the way it should have. It had some really good scenes in it. The CGI was a giant step up from the previous Hulk movie. Not like it was like the worst movie ever, but it just, again, didn't have enough bite to it. The story was, it was okay. It's good to have the Hulk back. Sorry, I forgot about that one. Now, let's see. What else do we got? What else? Probably Age of Ultron. Age of Ultron is unfortunate because Ultron, the character in this by James Spader, is fucking phenomenal. I'll put it up here. But it disappointed me. Like, I was really impressed with his thing, but he just didn't have enough of the threat. I know his plan was horrific, but in the comics, Ultron has a body made of adamantium or vibranium. I can't remember which. He can tank Thor's hammer. Like, he regularly hands the Avengers their asses. He just didn't get his power level just was not up to snuff. He should have been more of a physical threat. Or at least when he builds a strong enough body, he should have. But, it had some really cool shit, and it's not like it was terrible. But Age of Ultron is the weakest Avengers movie, and it's unfortunate. I wish the drones were scarier. But we did get Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver out of it, which is fucking awesome because those two characters are great, even though one of them didn't make it out alive. So, next is... I'm trying to remember, man. It's been a while. Probably Ant-Man. I really liked Ant-Man. I think it's a smaller story, no pun intended. I think they actually did that on purpose, though. Very likable, of course. What's his name as Ant-Man is just always awesome. The technology where it's, okay, if it's not Iron Man, what is it? Well, this is a guy that can do things Iron Man can't because of his being able to shrink and all that. It's really cool. Good movie, funny, more of a heartwarming, more of a family film. And that's not an insult. That doesn't take away from Ant-Man. Like, it's a good all-around movie. I thought the villain was good. Their fight at the end was really good. He's fucking losing his mind because of doesn't have some kind of radiation in his suit is driving him bananas. He's ruthless, good villain, good overall, solid movie, right in the middle, just perfectly, just completely for the MCU average, which is fucking good because the MCU has a very good track record. Just a couple of duds in my opinion. All right, so where are we now? Doctor Strange is going to be a good B. I'd put it above that right there. Doctor Strange is a really good movie. They were really hesitant with the magic end of things, and as soon as they put it out, we all got it and we all loved it. And it's a fun movie. It's funny. Caecilius is a really good villain. I wish he would have had more to do. But then when he traps Dormammu at the end, some people have said, why is he so good at magic? He was probably trapped with Dormammu for like 1,000 years. That's why he became so good. Being killed by, when you fight somebody who is literally the Hulk, and you can do it over and over and over, you're going to get a little better every time, to the point where he is the Sorcerer Supreme. And that cape was just phenomenal. Love the old one. I love everything about the movie is really solid. It's a good movie. Let's see, where are we now? Probably Civil War. Civil War is an easy S. I know it's some complaints where it's not as complex as the comic book story arc, but I mean, you got a movie, you can't fit 79 comics into one movie. It's not going to happen. And they got the gist of it down. They distilled it down right, and it's actually a Captain America movie with all the Avengers in it. It's literally a small Avengers movie, and it's better than the actual Avengers movie. I love the storyline. I like Zemo. Okay, yeah, other plot holes, maybe. But I mean, for one guy to put all that effort in just to make Cap and Tony fight each other and break up the band is a phenomenal plan. Like, everything about this movie was really good. You get more Bucky, which is always good. That fucking fight, the fight at the airport was just stunning. Even though rewatching it, you're like, everyone's really pulling their punches. Like, they should have really done more damage to each other. And then I thought that was going to be the end of the movie. And then a whole fucking really personal battle between Tony and Cap happens. And neither of them are wrong. That was the whole point of Civil War. You know, like when the government said, okay, we're cracking down, everyone had to choose sides. Well, some people, like Tony, chose the government. I've always been open. I'll bring everybody in. Spider-Man, for instance, and Cap said, no, we have to protect our identities and our families. So, no, we're not unmasking. We've always done it this way. And then there were some that I'm not choosing a side or I switch sides. Like, it was a very, and you go, that's a good reason. And then someone else gives you a reason. You're like, that's a good reason. Like, there was no, and I like this kind of thing where there is no real bad guy. It's just a complete conflict of personality or, like just what happened between them and all that. And then the fucking revelation that Hydra's the one that killed Tony's parents, but it was actually Bucky that did it. Whoa. Fucking unreal, man. What a great movie. All right. I think the first Spider-Man came after that. Like, I'm just shooting from the hip here. I can't super remember off the bat. Is that Spider-Man Homecoming? Spider-Man Homecoming is an easy S. Really good movie. This new kid playing Spider-Man is literally fucking perfect. British actor. They're always phenomenal. Love seeing Michael Keaton come back. And they just give you enough Tony just to let you know he's there, and he's trying to be like a father figure and a guide for Spider-Man because he really doesn't have anybody. Really good movie, really solid. It's fun. It's really like, another one of these coming of age movies. It's an all out, just good movie. Really fucking good. I loved it. Let's see. What's next? It's probably going to be Ant-Man and the Wasp. Or it's Thor Ragnarok. Thor Ragnarok, I think, is it's right up there. It might even be better than Guardians. That movie, I watched the first time, I was like, okay, I liked it. It was really good. Watch it a second time, and it got so much fucking funnier. And the villain, Hela, is an actual in-your-face, dangerous as fucking shit villain. And I've always loved Cate Blanchett, but her with the dirty eye makeup, with that suit on, I'm like, oh, I would put Ariana Grande in a wood chipper for 5 minutes alone with her. Oh, I know she's 50 and I don't care. I would pop her in a fucking second. Oh, she's hot. I like fucking long hair, and I like the crown she puts on, and she just keeps throwing these blades, and she's actually dumbed down from the comic books because she's way stronger than that. But perfect movie. It's really fucking good. That's one of my most watched ones just because I love Korg. Korg steals. Okay, here's what I thought about this movie. It's a movie full of scene stealers. Everyone is stealing every fucking scene. Like, Scourge is phenomenal. I love his accent and just his dumbness, and he's just fucking great. Everybody in that movie was just stellar. It's getting a little fuzzy here, but I think it's Spider-Man. This is another great Spider-Man movie. I don't know if I'd put it above the original, but it's still S. It's still fucking great. And I think the strongest trilogy in this, it's either Cap or Spider-Man, because the Spider-Man movies are fucking top tier. And I think they did that on purpose because they're not sure how long they get to use him for, so they're like, let's fucking make it so that, you know, the Spider-Man movies are unforgettable, and they did really capture the essence of Spider-Man. I mean, I really liked Jake Gyllenhaal. He's a type of actor. He's not good at a lot of things. He's only good at a couple of things, but he was good in this. He's definitely good. And I like his whole, it all ties back into Civil War with the barf, and like I love how they tie in things. It's fucking great. And I love that's illusion tech, but those things actually have like lasers and explosives and stuff, so they can simulate damage. It's not just an illusion. I mean, really, really good movie. Guardians 2. This is one I didn't like when I first watched it. And upon watching it a couple more times, it really hasn't gotten much better. I would probably put it high D. Now, I know there are those that love this movie. They loved Baby Groot. I like adult Groot. It's just how it is. Baby Groot acts cute, and that just distracts. Like, at the start when he's running around trying to get the tape play, and like, it was so just an obvious, this is all set up for you to just find him cute, and I didn't like that at all. I mean, not that there weren't, I didn't like the movie, but what I did like about it was the character arcs. So all of a sudden, Gamora and her sister put it together. Rocket opens up. Like, there are some excellent personal arcs in this movie, but the overall movie, I just, like, when fucking Baby Groot brings 500 things to them, is like, there'd be nothing left in the office. You should have gotten it 12 fucking 100 times ago. That really annoyed me. Who was even the villain? The Sovereign? Oh, Ego. Ego was really good. Not like Ego was a problem. But I just find there's so many things around this movie that just didn't click with me. And I think the only reason I was critical on it is because the first one was such a fucking super grand slam that it had no way to go but down. Like, there's no other way to do it. Captain Marvel, I'd put down here. Nothing against, I like Brie Larson as an actress. I like that character. But again, this is one of these movies where the villain is really weak. She's under control by the Kree, and then she just goes, oh, let me take off this control chip, crunch. Okay, now I'm me now. And she's so powerful, there's not really much you can put her up against. So her beating up Jude Law at the end was unsatisfying because he's basically a regular dude and she's Superman. There were cool parts in this movie. It's not like I hated it. I didn't hate it, but it just didn't grab me like, you know, like the rest of the movies. Let's see. Ant-Man Wasp 2, I really liked. Not as much as the first one, but, you know, I'd say it goes right about there. Very good movie. Like the first one. Good, solid family movie. No real villain. There's just another conflict of, you know, just I do it this way, you do it this way. We're not necessarily enemies, but you're doing a thing that I don't like, so I got to stop you kind of thing. And I like that. I thought that was cool. The new villain, Ghost, she was really good. I did like her. It's about as much as you can say about that movie. It was good, though. I did enjoy it. It's fun. Let's see. The next one is Black Panther. Black Panther, for me, I liked it better. It gets a higher boost because the villain is really good. But the movie itself, I don't find, just didn't do much for me. Maybe we'll put it above Age of Ultron. Maybe above Thor. We'll put it right there. Chadwick, of course, is amazing, and I miss that. Hey, what are you doing? Go where I tell you to. Yeah, why do you do that? I loved the Killmonger. Killmonger is the reason why I gave it even that. Because the rest of the movie is good, very creative. Wakanda's cool. Black Panther's cool. Shuri's cool. And the fact that it was like a Prince lineage thing and he had to confront Killmonger, I thought that was really cool, but just the stakes weren't really that high. You know, like, I knew they were going to get him out of being king. Like, Killmonger, I love that Killmonger actually went through the same thing that Black Panther did. I thought that was really cool. It made a lot of money, but I don't understand why. It's a good movie, but it's not like billions of dollars good. I don't know. Just didn't grab me. And now we go to Infinity War. Dun 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 dun. It's my favorite. Not only maybe my favorite MCU movie, but my favorite movie overall. This movie had all these movies behind it, built up in expectation, because all these movies kept building on each other and building and building and building and building. Then I heard they were going to do the Infinity War storyline, and I shit my pants. And all I kept thinking was, there's no way they're going to pull it off. There is no fucking way this movie is going to be... Like, I thought it would have been, maybe a low B, just based on there's no way you can make this a good movie. No, this movie came together in a way. When I was walking, it was maybe the best theater experience I've ever had. When I was walking home with my buddy Mike, I just kept yelling, holy fuck, over and over and over again, because I couldn't understand what I just saw. The plot is so fucking intricate. There's so many cool things that happen in this fucking movie, and it switches between Thor trying to get the hammer and what's going on Titan. This movie was actually, the scenes were getting so fucking heavy that it was almost going to fall apart under its own weight. Like, when they would switch scenes, I'd go, oh, I forgot all about Ma, but I was so into what was just happening there. Then you get into that scene, and like, oh, and then it goes to Titan, you're like, oh, it's just... Not only did it blow my fucking expectations away, even if I wasn't an MCU fan and I watched this, I would have said, this is great. Thanos as a villain, perfect. He's the perfect villain. You get why he's doing what he's doing. He believes in it, and he really believes he's the good guy. And it's also, after all these movies where you have Tony as your main character and, Cap and all these fantastic characters, it's actually Thanos' movie, which that's a very risky thing to do, to put the villain as your main character. When Thanos beats the living shit out of the Hulk, I couldn't believe it. Like, I was screaming in the theater. Not because I want to see the Hulk get hurt, but this is how fucking badass Thanos is. He just tanked the Hulk, and he didn't even use the gauntlet. And he beat him. It's very reminiscent of a Mike Tyson fight, because Hulk is bigger than Thanos, and Thanos just fucking destroys him. Even the director said, okay, Hulk stays in because he doesn't want to fight for Bruce anymore. I was like, bullshit. He's terrified of Thanos. He's never really had his ass kicked. So that was his first loss. Then we got Endgame. I really like Endgame for certain things. I'm going to put it lower. Maybe right there. What I loved about this movie is how it tied everything together. Absolutely brilliant writing when it's on. But again, it took like fucking 40 minutes for the movie to start rolling. Kind of long for that. Things were brought up. Why don't you just go back in time to when Thanos already had the gauntlet and fight him there and take it, you wouldn't have a movie otherwise. But the amount of things they tied together, they redeem movies, like they go back to Thor: The Dark World and make it cool again. Like, just all these fucking amazing things, but it just didn't have the connective and, kinetic. It wasn't kinetic like Infinity War, because Infinity War just doesn't give you a time to breathe. It's jamming everything in your face. This movie really took some time. It probably could have been trimmed, and certain scenes should have been... Like, I don't want to fuck with how brilliant the writing is on this movie, though. For Cap to fight himself when he thinks it's Loki and it's not. Like, oh, that's so fucking smart. And that elevator thing where he says, Hail Hydra, like, oh. And then it all wraps up with Tony sacrificing himself, which is just brilliant. Like, it's just the whole thing. The thing that pissed me off about it, though, is Thanos and his army. If you really watch it, you see Corvus Glaive stab one guy from... fuck is Thor from? He stabs one of them, and like, literally it's like 400,000 for the good guys and like 2 for the bad guys. They really don't kill anybody. And I wanted to see more Ma. The Black Order. I wanted to see the Black Order get in there and kick ass, because if you got Ma on your team, man, he can tie up almost everybody. He's that fucking badass. So that's what was lacking, I found. It's just Thanos didn't really... They took him seriously as a character, but he didn't do anything... Well, he did some pretty badass shit. But, like, the Black Order just got tossed aside, which is very disappointing. But I know this was supposed to be a build-up for the injustice that Thanos did, so it's like, he gets his comeuppance kind of thing. But I can't underestimate the brilliance of the writing in that movie, even though, like I said, I found it... Like, when the movie was done, I walked out... Like, I was excited during the movie. When I walked out, I was like, okay, that's the end of the Infinity Stone saga. Like, well, that's the end. Where Infinity War gave us so many possibilities, so many things to ponder, so many things, like the Soul Realm and all this shit, where this movie was just, nope, it's all tied up. And that's why it just didn't... But it's just because Infinity War was so fucking awesome. Black Widow... Oh, the new Spider-Man's not on here. Black Widow was... kind of shoehorny. I put it down here. It was an okay movie. Like, it just... There's certain things, like, where the fuck did... What's his name? Romanoff, or daughter of... I can't remember his name. Where does he have a fucking floating palace in the sky? Like, where did he get all this from? It's just not strong enough. I did like her sister, though. I thought their relationship was really good. She's always good, of course. The fucking Red Guardian, he's just there for laughs. He really didn't do anything. And it pissed me off, because, like, this guy's supposed to be, like, the Russian Captain America, and the only thing he does is break somebody's arm in prison. Like, the rest of the time. And Taskmaster was completely handled wrong. Not that you can't change a character's backstory, but Taskmaster is nobody's slave. He's his own person. And if you turn it into a girl, cool, but, like, it didn't make sense. And on top of that, just wasn't threatening enough, because Taskmaster is fucking unreal in the comics. So it's, pretty okay. Shang-Chi, I liked parts of it. I'm going to put it down here. Changing the Mandarin, his rings into those bracelets. The bracelets are actually very badass. Like, I was like, at first, is this going to be good? And they were really good. I was surprised. They had a lot of power. I liked that Awkwafina was completely Americanized. Shang-Chi was kind of Americanized, and then his sister is not Americanized. So you get like a generational, like a different aspect to it, which I thought was cool. But then at the end, they're fighting just dragons, and just, I don't know, it didn't really grab me. And the whole father fighting his son thing has just been done to death. Nothing wrong with anybody's performances or anything like that, but it just really didn't grab me. And as far as the new Spider-Man goes, I would put it probably as the best Spider-Man movie, probably right here, because the brilliance of that new Spider-Man movie it's the same thing with the writing. When they're just sitting there talking to each other, that's my favorite parts of the whole fucking new Spider-Man movie. Where they're like, whoa, you don't have web shooters? He's like, no, you can't do that? Like, just little things like that. And they call fucking, what's his name? Spider-Man amazing. Like, they really do redeem. Like, now we want more Toby, even though the third movie left a sour taste in everyone's mouth. And we want more, what's his name, too. And it looks like those are going forward, which is super cool. Like, the fans loved it, and they redeemed him, Garfield, by when MJ falls, he's the one that catches her, and you see the look on his face. He really did steal the show. Goblin was awesome. Doc Ock was awesome. The Lizard really didn't get much to do, and I wish he would have been more terrifying. But the rest of them are great. I like that they made it so Electro is actually the fucking scariest one of the group, because he got redeemed really well, too. Flint Marko, I like how none of them are really sure what's going to happen. Some of them change sides, and just... It's a really fucking good movie, and it's opening up the multiverse, which is fucking fantastic. So, as you can see, could go ahead and just chip away at some of these. Thor Ragnarok might be better than Guardians. I'm not sure. But they're different. Like, okay, Winter Soldier is a different movie because it's not funny. It's a straight-up thriller. Political thriller. You know what I mean? Like... This also has some brilliant writing to the point where I should just be shaking my head and say, shut the fuck up, because the writing in it is so fucking good. The way they tied everything together is just other fucking worldly, but overall it just didn't hit me like Infinity War. I think this is a pretty good placement for everything. Maybe I'll put the Avengers above Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange is still really solid, though. It's really good. Maybe I should put Avengers above Cap. But this was... You know what? No, I'll leave it there. It's because Avengers was mostly just a big, dumb popcorn action movie that was funny. We wanted more Tony. We got everything we wanted. We got Thanos at the end. It was fucking great. Age of Ultron's... Is it better than Thor? Maybe. We'll put that up there. Iron Man 3. Oh, what am I doing? It's better than Captain Marvel. It's better than Guardian. Yeah, you know what? We'll put Iron Man 3 up here. Iron Man 2 should probably stay there. Yeah, I think that's a good listing. So this is just... I'll tell you my order, and I'll give you a rationale for why I think that. You know, and if you agree, disagree, cool. It's just... It is what it is, right? So I'm going to do more of these, actually. I'm going to see if I can find more movies and more templates, because this shit's really fun.